Today we're going to be looking at 8 heart-centered selling secrets that attract health clients. If you're a health educator, a naturopathic doctor, holistic health educator, author, speaker, or you're looking to get more premium health clients into your mentorship programs or to monetize your knowledge online, this training is going to be great for you. Even if you've got supplements that you want to be able to sell, there are 8 buying emotions that really lead people to want to say yes, that turns maybes into absolutelys. And if you want to know how to be able to monetize your health knowledge or the products and programs you have, then this training is going to be really helpful. One of the first lessons that I learned from Myron Golden, who helps people to sell from stage, one thing that he mentioned is that people buy things for one reason and one reason only, and it's because they feel like it. There's not 10 reasons, there's not 20, there's not 5, there's not 7. There's one reason why people buy, and it's because they feel like it. So whenever you are in a selling situation, you don't want to just speak to their logic. You don't want to just overload them with all this information and facts and figures and statistics and all these strategies for them to change their life, because a lot of times the more that you teach them, the less they feel that they need you, the less that they actually desire what you sell. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of health educators make, is that when they are seeking to speak to sell, they overload people with all this logical information, just speaking to the mind. But what we have to do is we have to connect on a heart level. We're talking about heart-centered selling, where you're able to address what are the matters of the heart that people can actually connect with, and this will lead people to make purchasing decisions. Another lesson I learned from Russell Brunson, he grew his company from $0 to $300 million a year on the back of one signature speech. And in this part of one of his trainings, he's a mentor of mine, and I've had the privilege to be able to share the stage with Russell and Myron Golden on a couple occasions. And one thing that I learned from Russell, which I really appreciated, is he mentioned how people buy from emotion and they justify with logic. So what does that mean? Buying is not a logical decision. Even if people have like logical brains and minds, the vast majority of people that you're going to be selling to are very emotional buyers. Like, I'll give you an example. So let's look at a Rolex watch. When people buy a Rolex watch, when they pay tens of thousands of dollars for this watch, did they buy it so they can tell time? I don't think so. But they're buying it because there is a emotional status that they get. They feel important, they feel influential, they feel wealthy, they feel good about the purchase. And then what happens is people start to justify their purchase with logic, where actually Rolexes have a large waiting list of people who want to buy it. So when you get your hands on one, there's actually some people are willing to pay more for it, and they actually keep their value pretty well. See, they're justifying these logical reasons why the Rolex watch is a good thing. Sometimes people find that Rolex retain their value better than even like the fiat currency or the paper bills that get diminished into through like inflation. The purchasing power loses time over. So instead of saving their money in the bank, they'll actually invest in Rolex watches, and they'll have multiple of them because it's kind of like a house. They retain their value pretty well. So now there's all of these logical reasons why it would make sense to buy a Rolex for people who buy Rolexes. So we're buying with emotion and justifying with logic. So the purchase comes first. And when you understand that, it helps you to be able to craft your signature speech, or it helps you to craft a message that can actually convert or create content that converts. You want to evoke an emotional response. There's particular emotions that are most effective in leading someone to make a purchasing decision. Which another lesson that I learned from Steve Larson, he's done over $10 million in sales, and through having a signature speech, using similar principles that we teach our clients, and also he's had health products that he's made over $1 million selling as well. And one thing that I learned from Steve is that when you are story selling, which is different than storytelling. Story selling is when you're educating, you're telling stories in a way that will transfer buying belief. Because at the end of the day, all sales is a transfer of belief. So But when you're story selling, your goal is to create buying emotions in your listeners. And I remember when he said that at first, I was like, wait a second. The story produces a buying state. Like all buying is state dependent. So if someone's not in the right place in their heart, if they're not centered in the right place of their heart with these particular emotions, then they're not going to buy. But when they are, that's when they make the decision to move forward with you to join, whether it's your health retreat, your health course, your health program, buy your book about health, or book you to speak to their audience. There's 8 heart-centered sales secrets that we're going to be looking at today that's going to walk you through exactly what you can do. So what these are is they actually spell the word emotion. And the first is E, which stands for, what this is actually going to guide you through. This is the number one reason why premium health buyers choose you instead of someone cheaper. So, and that is because of exclusivity. People love this feeling of exclusivity, being exclusive, that it only belongs to them and they can't get it anywhere else. In fact, Jesus understood this too. And when you look at Times Magazine identified Jesus as the single most influential man in human history, and it listed off like top 10, but Jesus was the very top. So in 3.5 years, he's influenced billions and billions of lives of people to give so much to his cause. So do you think we can learn a little something about selling or communication or influential messages from the most influential man in history? Absolutely. So Jesus often use elements of exclusivity in his messages. Even in Revelation 3:21, he says, "To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcome and sit down on my Father with my Father in his throne." So now there's like this. He calls us royal priesthoods, and in a royal priesthood, and a chosen generation, a peculiar people. And that's all exclusivity. That's calling people out in a very special way. So premium health buyers, they don't buy because they think you're worth it. They buy because they think they're worth it. They buy because there is a by giving, because they believe that they deserve the best or they desire the best, so they want to work with the best. So one way that you're able to create this is through providing like VIP tickets. If you have an event, you're leaving money on the table if there's only one pricing tier for tickets, whether it's an online challenge, whether it's a local seminar or retreat. If you give people an opportunity to have a VIP ticket, even just that, like you're delivering the same stuff, but maybe you give them a specific seating, or maybe they get a backstage, a VIP lunch if it's in person, or whether it's online, you can give them a VIP question and answer session where they can get more tailored advice, or have group coaching or group kind of Q&A session. Or a special training that other people don't get, exclusive bonuses when they upgrade for a VIP. So by giving them that exclusivity where they feel like, oh, this is something special, makes them feel special, that's why premium buyers buy. That's one of the emotions that leads people to buy. Also, if you could be the first or the only in a category, you could be like a category of one and a competition of none. And one way that you're able to do this is by highly specializing in who you're serving. So let's say like for us, when we're building our AI studio, we wanted to create a studio that's going to help you to write copy, but not just any AI copywriter, because with the boom of AI, I mean, there's several of them out there, but we wanted to create one that is special, that is unique, that is tailored for health educators. So we created and notice the language, we have the world's first and only AI-powered copywriter that's specifically designed to help holistic health educators like you to monetize their knowledge online. And this AI studio that we have, we call it Skills Unlimited AI. And this is designed to understand your business, your industry, your niche, your expertise and background. And instead of that generic AI chatbot stuff, these are specialized agents that are uniquely designed to help solve the problems that you face based on the marketing frameworks that work for our clients and have been helping them to be able to monetize their knowledge. So this is where if you could be the world's first and only, that's going to be good. If there's not another category, or if there's something unique about how you process yours. I remember there was a Jamie Cross. She sells soap, and she sells soap at farmers markets, and she made over $1 million. She made over $10 million selling soap with a signature speech that was 5 minutes long. And using the similar principles we teach our students, but one of her big selling points was that she sources one of her ingredients, instead of using water, which dehydrates your skin, and other chemicals and other synthetic methods that people put in common soaps that dry out your skin. She sources her ingredient from, I believe it was like a honeycomb. It was some like moisturizing wax from the honeycomb, something along those lines. And that's what she had soap that was based off of this one ingredient. And because it's exclusively taken from like local farmers or some source, it has this level of exclusivity that you don't really find in other places. So people see like, wow, that's different. And what's better than being better in the marketplace is being different. So by having something like that, she was able to sell. Like once she cracked the code on this exclusivity, this exclusive ingredient that her buyers of this soap, this natural soap, were able to have her sales shot through the roof when she started selling online through these videos. So that's one thing that's really effective. Another cool thing about exclusivity is that when you could tap into someone's dream that they already desire, whether that is someone who had a lot of weight and then they lost a lot of weight, they could be a part of a 50-pound club or a 100-pound club. Like in our business, we have awards. We would give out recognition for people who've lost 100 pounds through our products, or 200 pounds through our products, 300 pounds through our products. And yes, we have people lost 300 pounds. And there is an exclusive club, like the 100-pound club, of people who released 100 pounds on their weight loss journey. And because of that, it gives them this exclusive belonging that is unique to them, and it recognizes them, and people value that recognition. They're like, I want that award. I want that, because very few people have it. So if you can integrate that inside of your business, then that can make a big difference for if you're doing a weight loss journey, or various, think of what milestones or waymarks along your customer's journey working with you. I know, if you look at authors, one thing that we do is we help health educators monetize their knowledge and package it into a best-selling book. You see, in America, studies, New York Times did a survey and found out that there was 81% of Americans who had a dream to publish a book. They knew that they had a book in them and they wanted to publish it, but there's another study from the Book Industry Study Group. They found that only 2% of Americans have actually published a book. That means that there's 79% of the people who are going to go to their graves with unfulfilled dreams and desires. They know that they could publish a book, but they don't know how, or they don't do it. And so when our clients, when we help them in our best-selling book bootcamp to write, publish, and launch whether their first or next book within 60 days, and we launch it to #1 bestseller, not only do our clients become the top 2% of people who've desired to publish a book, but who actually become authors. They now have an exclusive, unique differentiator from everyone else in the marketplace now that they're an author. Another thing that it does is out of those published authors, very few of them ever become best-selling authors. So we're able to help them to become best-selling, to be able to learn how to sell their books and market it, and then build a business on the back end of their books. So it's not just getting sales, it's not just writing a book, but it's actually marketing their books so they can actually reach the people they're called to serve. So that is that's exclusive. It's a top 2%. And those are largely, when in any market, it's generally going to be a small fraction of the people who are responsible for the large majority of the sales that are taking place. So how many of you, who here wants to build a health brand that people feel honored to join? type brand in the chat. If you want to build a brand that people are like, this is a privilege, a joy, this is a honor to be a part of this community and buy from you. So that is the first E in this emotions framework for heart-centered selling, and that's exclusivity. When you can create exclusivity in your coaching program, in your mentorship program, in your courses, in your products, your supplements, this is what will lead people to want to buy, because if they think they could get it anywhere else, or just anyone and everyone could be a part of that, it doesn't have the same effect. So the next next buying emotion you want to create is, the more of this emotion that grows, the less price matters. And it's really in direct proportion. When this emotion gets more, price becomes irrelevant. And that's motivation. Because why motivation? It's because we have the bigger the motivation, the bigger that people are to want to invest. I remember when I invested $55,000 into our mastermind, and I got in the room and I realized that there was like 150 people in this room. I'm like, wait a second, you mean to tell me that each one of these people paid $55,000 to be here? And I'm just like, I remember day one, I was thinking like, what would lead people to invest so much to learn from this? And I was just thinking like, this is mind-blowing, to realize that there are lots of premium buyers who are interested in changing their life and getting the right insights. And one thing that Myron said when he walked up in front, it's almost as if it was answering my question. He said, now I know out of those who are here, you didn't invest this big money because you didn't have a dream. Each one of you here, you invested because you have a dream that matters. You have a dream that you are pursuing, and you have a big dream. You want to do a big thing. And I was like, wow, that makes sense. So that was the answer. The bigger the dreams, the bigger the dollars people are willing to invest in making them happen. So when you consider this too, you want to find people who are motivated to change their life. Some motivations, like in that mastermind, I met a lady, her name is Rochelle T. Parks, and she coaches people how to reverse chronic diseases or terminal illnesses, and she found that her husband was almost about to die, and through doing research and figuring out what to do naturally, was able to coach her husband to better health. And she was healthy, but her husband wasn't. So she's got this story where the doctor sent him away to die, and she's like, not my husband. And then she put in some effort, and then she created a process. So then she helps other people not die. And when you look like, hey, if you've got an option where you're like, look, death is over on this end, or getting help is over on this end, then how motivated do you think that person's going to be to get some help, right? To make an investment? Because what good is the money if you're too sick to enjoy it? You don't have the energy to spend it, or you don't have the time or lifespan to spend it. So a lot of this is like helping people to have like motivation. People are motivated to either move away from pain or towards pleasure. And what you want to do is you want to associate immediate and immense pain with staying where they are, and immediate and immense pleasure with working with you, paying you for your products, your programs, so that it's easier for people to say yes. And when they have a big dream or a big goal or a big mission that they're a part of, or that they want to contribute or expand, or when you can speak to their purpose, speak to that they've got more to live, that they've got reasons to live. This is what makes a huge difference. Matthew 5:6, Jesus talked about how blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. I like how Les Brown, he talks about people who have that hunger. It's that when they are hungry for change, when they have a desire, a strong motivating drive to do something different. And there comes a point when people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. So one way that you're able to help pull and to extract this motivation in your audience is by telling your origin story. When you share your story in a way that is able to relate to people where they're at, what they're experiencing, and how painful it was before you found your process, your unique method or process. And you could talk about how inconvenient it was, how much it was costing you, the emotional toll, the struggle that it was going through, or maybe like for Rochelle T. Parks, it might not be your experience, maybe it's to someone you loved. And just going through that process, they relate to you. And just by telling that story, what happens is our mind has mirror neurons, and we will actually, as an audience, we're listening and we're hearing ourselves in their story, in your story, and we put ourselves there, and your audience will see themselves, and out of out of the thousands of things they could be focusing at that moment, in your speaking, you want to learn how to guide their focus on how painful it is for them staying where they are, and how much pleasure, enjoyment, and better it can be for them getting the help to get to where they want to go, to get on the path to recovery, the path to healing through your programs and through your mentorship. So, and you could do that through stories. When you tell these stories, then it helps them to start focusing on the motivations, the reasons why they want to change, because reasons reap results. And one of the biggest reasons why people don't buy, even if you're leading a team, or when you're influencing a family member, or whatever the case is, if they are reluctant or procrastinating or not doing something, it's because their why is not strong, that they're too focused on what needs to be done, like all the steps, the process, the new things that they got to change. That's exhausting. And when you emphasize that in your presentations and all these things that they got to do, it only stresses them out, and they start associating immediate pain and immense pain with following your advice, going on that journey with you, and immediate and immense pleasure with staying where they are, even if where they are is going to lead to literal death and sickness, woe, and suffering, because that's at least suffering that they're used to, they're comfortable with. Does that make sense? So what your goal is, your goal is to shift their association of pain and pleasure. And that's what motivates people to make a different decision. And you do that with stories. The right stories will help people to focus on reasons why to change. How many of you are ready to be the reason your client says yes to their health? Type reason in the chat if you want to be the reason why. You want your message to be the reason why they say, today is a day I choose not to die. Today is a day that I am going to move forward. So we do that by appealing to their motivation. And you could share stories that are inspiring, that also show a transformation, or case studies, examples of people who are stuck just like them, who are hurting, who are suffering, but they got your guidance, they followed your advice, they applied your principles, and they've invested in your program, and then they were able to lose weight, feel great, they're able to reverse the sickness, they're able to have so much better life. And that creates motivation too, because they're like, wow, if she can do it, so could I. And that's the M. So what about the next piece, the O? This emotion is, when they feel this emotion, the sale's already done. Like, this is one of the biggest emotions that will create purchasing. And what is it? It's ownership. Why ownership? Because what you don't have to do whenever you're speaking to sell. Your job is not to convince people to buy, convince people to change. You're not in the convincing business. In fact, convincing is the opposite of selling. Selling is not convincing. Convincing is not selling. In fact, they couldn't be further from each other. Convincing is when you're trying to you're trying to convince someone to buy what they don't want, don't need, can't afford. Whereas selling is persuasion. It's persuading people to buy what they already desire, that's in their best interest for their reasons. And when you are speaking to people, one thing that you want to shift their focus, shift their identity on, is help them to see that they are an owner of their future, an owner of their body, take ownership of the results and choice. Your goal is not convincing, but it's empowerment. When I'm selling to people, my goal is I want to empower them to make the decisions, because there's so much power in being able to take ownership and responsibility. You know, like that famous line on Superman, it said that with great power comes great responsibility, right? But the flip is also true, that with great responsibility comes great power as well. So when we take responsibility for everything that's in our life or not in our life, then we have no one else to blame. When we take responsibility for our health, when we take responsibility for our our fitness, our weights, our decisions, our diets and so literally by you speaking about responsibility, about ownership, this will also empower people to change their lives. When you tell stories that emphasize the power of personal ability to make decisions, not in a guilt or a shame or trying to shame someone into doing something, but telling stories about how we are able to choose regardless of what our family's doing. And so that no longer they're going to be blaming, oh, I can't do it because my spouse eats differently than me. You tell stories of people who changed their life when their spouse wasn't on board, they still chose to do it. So that's how you're able to overcome, like, oh, I can't do it because my spouse isn't supportive. Oh, my children would never eat this. Tell stories of people who have followed your advice or made these foods that children love, or people who are able to do it. And as you do that, you're able to shift their perspective from blaming and making excuses why they can't, and they start becoming reasons why they can, because they take ownership of the outcomes of the decisions that are able to do that. And also helping people to see what they already own. What are the assets they have? Like understanding that your number one asset that you have is your body, is your brain, your health. If you're selling a liver cleanse, you could say, look, your liver is the number one asset that you have, because without the liver, your whole body's in disarray. The liver is like the project manager of the body. Without it, you can't digest. There's so much of you're going to die if you don't take care of your liver. Or you could say that your health is your number one asset. And regardless of like whatever it is that you're selling, you show them how that you own an organ. When you can help people to recognize, have that sense of ownership, of respect of what they have and how beautiful it is, when you show people that your body is beautifully designed, and when you take care of it, your body will take care of you. But when you neglect it, then that neglect is going to really cause you to lose so much more. And it's just shifting their focus so they feel something different. You want them to feel empowered to take action. You could shift them from looking at, look, if your body, your health is the best asset you have, then you're not, it's not expensive to take care of your health. It's investing in your number one asset, which is your health, your body, your liver, your immune system, your whatever it is. So now you want to shift them from seeing it as an expense, but as an investment. So once you could shift that, then people are like, oh, I'm actually investing in the best thing that I have. And one of the ways you could do that, one way I've done that, is by sharing with people that your health is not an expense, your health is an investment. But your health becomes an expense when you fail to invest in it. Even when you're sharing things like that, this shifts people's perspective. And it sounds different because usually when you're teaching health classes, you want to go into like the physiology and the supplements and all of the ingredients and the phytochemicals that are required for digesting, or like you go into all this big scientific details of how the body works, telling people exactly what to do. But rather than giving people a to-do list in your message, when you give people a to-be list, you give people a to-believe list. You're teaching them how to think, help them to shift their focus, shift the meaning that they attach to things, and that meaning equals emotions. This is what's going to create the buying emotions for them to decide to actually to move forward with their health. So how many of you, who wants to empower your clients to invest in their health? Type empower in the chat if you want to learn how to help them feel empowered to change, to regain their health, to take seriously their journey. And part of the ways that we do this is through sharing the right stories that are actually addressing the excuses and reasons why people don't do that. So the O in the emotions, heart-centered selling, is ownership. What about the T? T is important because when this T is missing, your sales stop. They cease to exist. Even if your offer is perfect, if your offer is amazing, you might have the best product, the best program, the best process that people can go through. It's not that your methodologies don't work, it's you're missing this letter T, and that is trust. Why trust? Well, we've all heard that people People buy from those who they know, like, and trust, yes. But what do they need to trust? Specifically, they need to trust you. They need to trust your story. They need to trust your process. Because if they're missing trust in any one of these parts, they're not going to buy it. So it's very important that we learn how to communicate in a way that doesn't just inform, but actually transfers trust, that builds credibility, that builds like legitimacy in what you're doing. So some ways you're able to do that is by quoting experts who also validate these what I call buying beliefs. Buying beliefs are beliefs that are, when received, when instilled, when believed, will lead to buying behaviors. Because let's face it, every behavior is belief driven, which is buying a behavior? Absolutely. So if you want someone to buy, then you have to think, like, your whole speech, whenever you're speaking, learn to think in terms of, okay, what are the types of beliefs that a person would have to have in order to behave in a way where they buy what I want to sell, whether it's supplements, whether it's your coaching program for cleansing the liver, kidneys, and colon, or whether it's a cellular cleanse, whether it's reversing type 2 diabetes, whether it's overcoming their autoimmune disease, or maybe it's boosting their immune system. Like, whatever your offer is that you're selling, you might have an amazing offer that works really well, but if you don't address the beliefs that holds people back in your content through stories, nobody's going to buy, or very few people buy. It's going to kill your sales. So what do you do instead? You think about, what are the beliefs that can be transferred? And when you can find experts who in a field or in a topic, and you quote them, who are also validating or also like enforcing what you're teaching, whether they're renowned scientists, researchers, doctors. What's cool is you can borrow credibility, build your credibility. An example is like one thing that we do is we help health educators to package their knowledge into best-selling books, right? So Dan Kennedy, he is known as one of like the leaders of direct response marketing, and he has a lot of clients who became millionaires through his guidance. One thing that he mentions is that when you write a book, you go from being an annoying pest to a welcomed guest. You go from being that pesky salesperson to now being received as a trusted advisor. And it's interesting because if you've got a sales brochure, and you're trying to give that to someone, they're going to take it, or a business card, they're like, yeah, I don't know, and they're going to put it on the shelf. But somehow when you publish a book, they're like, oh, you're an author now. And then they want to read your book. And no longer are you just trying to get these business cards in people's pockets. They're actually paying you. They're pulling money out of their pockets and exchanging it for your sales message, which is like, wait, what? That's really cool. So it makes it so much easier. You go from chasing clients to now attracting clients, where they're coming to you, knocking on your doors, asking for guidance, instructions. And now as a trusted advisor, when you're creating lighthouse content, this is one of the ways that you could do this too, is as you create lighthouse content, what I call lighthouse content, it lets your light shine. It makes you findable to people who already want to pay you. This is what gives them an opportunity to be able to get to know you. You solve small problems on the topic. You teach them how to think. You help them to avoid obstacles. You rewire their brain so that they are empowered to make the decisions that are in their best interests and align with your back ends in service and ways that you can help them too. So the reality is too, like, before they buy your products, they're going to buy your personality. They're going to buy into you. Because another lesson I learned from Dan Kennedy is that if you want to have customers for life, it's not going to be the principles you teach. It's not going to be the products you sell. What creates customers for life is your personality. It's having an attractive character. It's their perceived relationship that they have with you. When they feel connected to you, they're going to continue to buy, to follow, to listen to your stories, to bring friends, to bring others. And that personality of seeing your development, seeing your stories, being able to connect with you as an individual. People are like, there's so many other speakers out there. Why would they buy from me? And part of the reason is because nobody at all in the marketplace is going to speak like you, have your stories, your background, your experience. The one thing that, like, every single person has a unique advantage over every other competitor in the marketplace is because nobody has your story. Nobody has your background. Nobody has your personality. Like, I teach business based on biblical principles. I teach health educators how to monetize their health knowledge based on biblical principles. First of all, there's very few people teaching the health knowledge. But hey, when it comes to like monetize your knowledge, yeah, there's a lot of places you can go. There's a lot of business advisors, marketing gurus out there who can teach you things. But it's like, I'm me. Like, I share a lot of the people who pay me like $10,000 to work with me. I asked them, like, why did you pick me? And many of them say it's because we have a shared worldview, or because like I value your biblical approach. Other people, they're like, I was on a call and with some business coach, he's going to help me, but he's just like, I had a hard time imagining him cussing out my family. So they decided to work with me because I'm family friendly. I'm not going to be cussing. And the examples I give are not going to be things that can't be shared with a family. So there's a variety of different ways why people would choose you and your unique approach as opposed to other people. There's different strokes for different folks. And there are bigger names. There's bigger marketing experts than me. In fact, I'm even quoting some of my mentors. But many of you, you may or may not be paying them, but you're still listening right now and hearing this insight. So just like you're willing to listen to me, and other people are going to be willing to listen to you. And it's because of who you are. It's because of the trust that you've had, the connection, the past, the background, the experience, your stories. That's what helps you to stand out in a crowded market. In fact, that's exactly what we did with Dr. Kinja Lee. Dr. Kinja Lee, she was struggling to keep her doors open, but not only did we have her double her prices, we taught her how to increase the value so that people would see how much more valuable it is. We helped her to create systems for generating leads, for creating sales through a signature speech, and creating these buying emotions that we're talking about. And now she's been able to have more clients at $3,000 paying her than she's ever had in her life for as a health educator. And one thing that she said, she got on our call and she's like, look, what Enoch's teaching us is not just expressing how to share our ideas, it's also teaching us how to build credibility in the marketplace. And she shared how there was someone who was saying, your prices are too high, when before she worked with us, and she was only charging like $1,500 for one-on-one coaching. I'm like, Kinja Lee, like, let's stop that right now. Let's double your price, and instead of doing one-on-one coaching, let's do a group coaching. The reason why you're having a hard time selling is because your prices are too low. Even though there's some ladies out there who's saying like, your prices are too high. How dare you charge $1,500? But the same lady, once Kinja Lee started applying our principles and putting these buying emotions into her content and telling stories in a way that's educating people closer to sale and creating this lighthouse content we're teaching about. Now we're helping her to publish her book. But before that, it was even her free content. The same lady started watching her content. She got on a consultation call, and Dr. Kinja Lee, she's coachable, so she's following the same script that we walk her through to get clients. And and that lady got on a call. She's like, you've given so much value, so much gold, that you have so much to share on all this free content on your Facebook. It's like, I am so grateful for what you're sharing. Clearly you're an expert. Clearly you know what you're talking about. Clearly you can help me. So she ends up joining her program for twice as much, $3,000 than what she was originally saying, your prices are too high, and talking about her behind her back. So the cool thing is that when you create content in the right way, you start to build trust. How many of you want to be received as a trusted advisor to your ideal client? Because when there's trust in the equation, type trust in the chat below. When there is trust, then the prices don't matter as much. The willingness to apply the principles is so much higher. And how do you build trust? Through the stories that you tell. When you tell the right stories, the ways that I'm teaching you, when you're able to transfer these beliefs, when you could share success stories of people you've helped, when you share your story that you've been where they are, or you've helped someone who's been where they are, that builds massive trust with your clients. So that's the T. What about the I in emotions? The I, this is so good, because if you want to get clients for life, if you want to keep clients for life, they keep paying, they bring their friends, they buy bigger packages with you, And this is the I that's going to help you to do that. What is it? It's inclusivity. Now, that you might be saying, wait a second, you just talked about exclusivity. Like by having an exclusive offer, that's how we get clients, right? Yes. But now you're saying inclusivity? Yes, as well. And what is inclusivity? Inclusivity is when they feel included. They feel a sense of belonging, a community, a tribe, where it's not just a product devoid of a community or belonging. You're not just selling a product, you're selling a community, a family, a sense of understanding. This is what we want to shift from. Even if you're creating content, this was a big shift for me, is whenever you're building a brand, you're not just selling a product or your knowledge. It's not just you, it's a community. All content, the purpose of content is community. It's the audience, and you're building the audience. Because the videos, they come and go. Like some videos you record may not exist 5 years from now, but that's okay. The value is not in the video you record. The value is in the audience that you build. And that audience that continues to listen to you and makes it habitual to hear your stories and your journey and your experience, that audience is what is able to, they continue to buy again and again, and they bring others and they share your content with others, and it makes this very beautiful kind of experience. And you know what? As a small creator, or as a like one thing that I teach, that's actually the subchapter of my book, The Secrets of Making Big Money with a Small Audience, is that you don't need a big audience to make big money online. Even with a small audience, you can do that. Here's an example of Christy. She's like, she joined our challenge, our high income health expert challenge. I do it every month. She's like, look, I've paid $5,000, I've paid $10,000, etc. And it was valuable, yeah, but not as personal and helpful as I can already perceive this is. Speaking of her challenge, you connect with different people. The ones that I joined, they were so big, it's almost like you got lost in the crowd. So I can see that this challenge, it's more valuable. It's a lot more rare to find, and it's a lot more valuable than when I was with these thousands of people, because this is more of a tight-knit family feel. So this inclusivity, what Christy was saying is like, look, not only is the knowledge that you're sharing worth the same that I paid $10,000 for, but this has a family. So what I'm saying by this is, this is a concept I call the benefits of beginning. Is if you're just starting out, or if you don't have as large of an audience, whether it's online or content or what have you, that's actually okay. You could use that as an advantage. You could say that that's because you can create a family. You can do more for a few that you wouldn't be able to do if you have thousands. And so if I were going to sell something, if I was going to sell with many, then I would say, well, it's because of all these clients. If I had a larger brand, a larger audience, like, yeah, it's all these people. That's why you should work with me. But if they're smaller, you're saying, well, it's because we have fewer clients, fewer people. We're not those big, massive brands that you're going to get lost in the sea of clients, but we're able to dedicate and show care and interest and follow up with you. And our team, we pray every Tuesday, which is today. We pray and fast for our clients, for the people in our community. We're praying for your business. We care about you. If you're leaving comments on our posts, you can leave prayer requests. Like, I don't mind, we'll pray for you, because we care about the people in our community. And it's amazing too, like how many people create content, they don't even respond to comments. It's like, how are you going to build community if you don't even respond or engage and interact with people? So that's what you want to do, because when people feel a belonging, when they feel like they found their tribe, they're going to stay. But if you're just one of these random strangers online doing whatever, they're not as interested. That's why the content creates connection. And when you communicate in a way that people feel that connection, that's where they will choose you, they will prefer you, and they'll stick with you, and they'll pay again and again. They'll keep paying, they'll buy more packages, they will invite their friends to expand your brand, and that's a beautiful place to be in. In fact, I heard a story from Russell. Russell found that like his community started calling himself like funnel hackers. And this is something you could do, is actually give your community a name. Give them a name that they could identify with and say, wow, I want to be a part of this. So he came up with funnel hackers. He put it on a t-shirt. And he found that there's this one guy who was paying his monthly subscription. It was like $999. It was like $100 a month. something like that. And he would pay again and again and again, but he wasn't building funnels with his websites. And he's wondering, why is that? And so he called up the guy and he asked him, he's like, hey, I see that you're on our software, but you haven't built any funnels. Like, what's happening? And the guy's like, oh, you sent me this t-shirt. And every time I put on this t-shirt, I feel like a funnel hacker. I feel like this is my people. This is where I belong. And I don't want to cancel my subscription because I just love being a part of this funnel hacker community of entrepreneurs. And Russell's like, He's like, we need to give t-shirts to every single person who ever starts a trial on ClickFunnels. And he's like, this is amazing. But he began to realize very quickly that by giving your community a name that they could be a part of, it's something that builds this inclusivity. They feel included in something that is unique to them, their experience, their direction. Like, we like to refer to our community as movement makers, because this isn't just about you, your business, your pockets. Is about building a movement that is beyond is backed by your knowledge, your experience, your expertise. It's not just about getting more clients and members. It's about making a movement that moves people to action, moves people beyond the shores of your front doors, that helps people to really make a difference. And we're here to empower a movement of health educators who want to impact people's lives, to get your message to the masses so you could save the lives you're called to serve. So we're here and dedicated to do that. So what happens is, in our health education business, we find that people, they would come for the products, but they'd stay for the community. When you could build community, even now, like we're on Zoom, we get to hang out and talk to each other, get to know each other. This is cool. If you want to be deeper in this community, if you're watching the replay, like go reach out to me, and I'll send you a link to the Zoom where you could join on the workshop. We could be a part of this, and we're going to do question and answers after this that only those who are part of this Zoom community can do. And but that, as you're able to build that community, this is why people want to keep showing up and be a part of something bigger. How many of you want to build a community with your message? Type community in the chat if you can see how this, by creating this sense of community, is going to be key to your success as a health educator. So all social media has allowed us, it's never been easier to build community in any other time in history as today. It is so amazing to see the tools that are available for building community like never before. So that's the I in emotion is inclusivity. What about the O? This emotion makes your offer feel like a lifeline, not a luxury. Not something that's just like, oh, it's nice to have, but this is something that I absolutely am willing to dedicate resources of time, money, energy into investing so that they can join your programs. And that O is optimism. Now we're dealing with optimism. And I would say optimism is feeling confident. It's like the perceived likelihood of achieving what they desire, because let's face it, every person that we're selling to, every person who maybe they're struggling with their weights, maybe it's their autoimmune disease, defying a diagnosis, maybe it's an addiction or toxicity, there's some sort of symptoms that they don't like. There's a gap right now between where they are and where they want to be. And that gap from where they start and where they desire to be, it might be weight loss, might be reversing diabetes, maybe it's improving their digestion, maybe it's getting rid of skin issues. But let's say your program is able to close the gap between where they are and where they want to be. That's what you want to really speak to. Whenever you're speaking to them, if there's no gap, there's no sale. So you have to, one, create a gap in your content between where they are and where they want to go. You're not just teaching content about how to get there. How to get there is less important as far as like why to get there. And the fact that you can get there. Some people are stuck in their pain and suffering and hurt, their diagnosis, and they don't even believe that it's possible to change. And if they don't believe, here, every behavior is belief driven. If they don't believe they can change, what do you think they're not going to do? They're not going to change. So it all starts with this optimism, this feeling of hope that the future can be better than the present. And so this is where future painting comes into play. This is what I call future painting, which, if you want to know the ultimate persuasion tip, TIP, it stands for turn it into a picture. If you could paint a picture of their future that is better than the present, then they will start to say yes. They can see themselves, because images are so much more influential. Like, imagine this. Imagine when you are speaking and people can like every time that you speak, they're filled with hope, they're inspired, they're encouraged to take seriously their health. And when they listen to you, not only are they motivated to follow your advice, but they're motivated to pay a price for your health advice. They're excited. Imagine that each time you speak on a podcast or an event or you're on calls, that when the more that people spend time with you, it becomes more effortless for them to actually make decisions to change your life, to say yes to you, to move forward in their health, their dreams, because you're sharing stories in a way that I'm teaching you to that is helping them feel empowered to make those decisions. Do you feel that? Do you see it? And even by asking, like, do you see that? Can you imagine when? This is how you can paint their future. So what you want to do is stop selling the features of your products, the features of how many modules you get. This is this is where you log in, the members access. This is the trainings. Here's all the steps. Stop selling the features and sell their future. Talk about what their future can hold working with you that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do without you. So I love this hope because this optimism and hope, because hope is like, I believe that the future could be brighter than the present. And Romans 8:24, it says, "For we are saved by hope. But hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for it?" So again, you're painting a picture of what they can't see yet. You're teaching them how to see with their mind's eye, with their imagination. You want to evoke the imagination, because imagination creates emotions, and emotions create decisions, including buying decisions. And I really like how John Maxwell is a leadership expert, and he says, as leaders, we are hope dealers. We're hope dealers, not dope dealers. That stuff makes you sick, right? We are hope dealers because we get to give hope for a living. We get to inspire optimism and joy, because let's face it, there's a lot of pessimism. There's a lot of cynicism, criticism. People judge themselves like, oh, I'm lazy, I'm fat, I'm unmotivated, I don't have much going for me. People criticize themselves so much. The world criticizes them a lot. One reason I'm so passionate about empowering health educators is because I know that there is so much darkness out there. The world needs more light bearers. Not just light bearers, but those who have a torch that will be a taper to go light the torches of other light bearers, who will go let their light shine in the darkness. And you get to do that. You get to be a beacon of hope. I love the lighthouse effect, because you get to be a light that's cast into the sea, and these sailors are lost. Your ideal clients are lost at sea, tossed to and fro, about to make shipwreck of their health, their life, their family, because they don't understand the health principles you have. And by letting your light shine, your knowledge, you're giving hope in the dark. You're giving them a way out. And that's what we get to do. We get paid to change people's lives. How exciting is that? So keep in mind that when selling, you are not a product pusher, you are a problem solver. So instead of feeling pushy, it's not about being salesy, it's not about pushing products and pushing your programs. It's that you are identifying problems and you're presenting solutions. Because at the end of the day, health buyers do not pay for products, they pay for solutions to problems. So everything that you want to say is you're positioning, you're talking about the problems of where they're at now and the solutions of where they can be. It's the pain of their present with the possibility of their future. That's what you're speaking into, and that's what creates this optimism. How do you do that? You tell stories of yourself or others who have been where they are and they have gone where they want to be, and that creates optimism. They're like, oh, I can do that. You emphasize the ease and the simplicity, the speed of which they're able to do it. You're not emphasizing the cost that they have to do and how expensive it is, or how all these steps you got to do in this long, arduous process and overwhelming. Like, you're teaching them all these strategies that just overwhelms people. What we think is over-delivering is actually overwhelming. So what you want to do instead is you're emphasizing on what their life can be like on the other side of this health journey. And you're able to emphasize like their present worlds and then their future worlds. And you talk about how painful the present world is and how amazing their future world can be. That creates optimism. The more vividly you can describe these two things in your content, that's what you create content about relating to your health topic. So when you shift that, this becomes more influential. Like here's an example of Susie and Malcolm. See, Malcolm had his wife got an injury and she was losing her memory. And he was needing to get a caregiver, a full-time caregiver, and he was looking for a solution. It wasn't good. And she would like leave and she'd wander out and they'd have to call the police to try to bring her back. But he attended a training and started learning about our health solutions. And because he heard stories of other people who got their wife back, their husband back, their father back, and was restoring their mind and their memory, he felt optimistic. He's like, hey, that can help my wife. So because he had a goal, he was motivated, right? He saw that this is valuable, and because it wasn't available other places, he was like, there's exclusivity, that this is a unique product that's able to help. So he got her on the products, and he started to improve. I mean, his wife started to improve. She was able to get her driver's license back and start driving around. And the last years was so much better than before. And he saw that change. Like this, I got my wife back. But when he got his wife back, his wife was already able to start seeing things like around Christmas during the holidays. He got out of bed and he saw this big bowling ball. And his wife was like, hey, you're starting to look like Santa Claus. And he's got this belly, and he's like, uh-oh, now she's starting to notice things. And so then he wanted to know how about our weight loss system, of how he could start shedding that weight. So then he got his recovery back. He started to recover, and he loved it, and he wanted to share with other people. He's recommended our programs to so many people. A lot of sales have came through him simply because he's referring other people, because he's loved the product so much. But not only that, here's the optimism part. Here's the part where you sell their future. It's not just about the results. The weight loss is cool. That's like small, but now he's able to enjoy what he loves most. He's passionate about skiing. So he's like on the lifts constantly, and he goes down double black diamond skis and skiing, and he just hits the slopes and he loves it, where his body wasn't able to do that before. His knees would give out. They wouldn't be able to handle it. His energy would be less. So he's got a photo down here at the bottom of him and his his daughter and her friends. They're like in their late 20s, early 30s, and he's over there hitting the slopes, and they are and I'm giving you an example of how you could tell these stories that speaks to that inspires optimism. And it's not just about health, it's about their experience, where now he's going through and they were getting tired and exhausted. They wanted to pull in to like around lunchtime, but he's like, I got more energy, let's go. He had more energy than people who are basically half his age. And he's able to spend more time doing what he loves, because he's not limited by the atrophy of his bones. And he's probably like late 60s, early 70s around this time. So this is phenomenal, the experience that people get to have on our products. So by sharing this story, now you're speaking to the gap between where they are and where they want to be. And you can insert, well, what hobby have you been able to do less of because your body hasn't been working the way that it used to be? You see how that can give hope? That can make someone feel optimistic of their future? Who wants to give hope to the world when you speak? Type hope in the chat if you want to be a hope dealer. If you want to, as people speak, it gives hope for what is possible. So that's the O, is optimism. And then the next one is the N, and this N, emotion. This is how to make sure your message stays in the forefront of your client's memory. This is how you keep their attention, they remember your message. And that N stands for novelty. This is another buying emotion. Why? Because Jim Quick, who's a world-renowned brain coach, he's my memory mentor. He's trained some of the brightest minds, like professionals and high achievers in various fields, like Usher, like myself, like President Barack Obama, and other high performers. And one thing that I learned from Jim Quick was that he's like, dopamine acts like a sticky note for your memory. It tells the brain what to remember. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. So Dopamine is created when there's novelty. Novelty is a requirement of learning. And all selling is we're seeking to lead our audience to learn an aha, an epiphany, to learn something new, right? So you're transferring belief, these buying beliefs that they didn't have before. So one way to do it is by having novel ideas. And it doesn't mean that you don't teach something that's never been taught before. It doesn't mean that you're sharing principles that didn't exist 100 years ago, because let's face it, the principles of health are the same principles of health throughout the ages. Those principles don't change. So how do you share these timeless truths in a manner that feels new? Well, one of the most profound ways I've had, and if you get it, some of you are going to get this. Some of it's going to go over your head, but some of you are going to get what I'm about to share, and this will change your speaking for the rest of your life. It's when instead you could take an old truth and wrap it in a story or an experience that you've gone through. And it's not just saying the statement, but learning to surround your statements and stories, but your personal stories. I like to ask, when did I first learn it? When did I experience this? What was my life like before I knew this truth? And then because you're telling your experience with it, that's when it starts opening up. That's when you have an idea that's unique, where it's not just the principle. The principle might be around for a while, but the story gives it a new sensation, and it creates dopamine. And that dopamine helps people to remember, and it clicks. They're like, wow. And here's the thing. When people see that you are able to share with them new ideas that they didn't know before, when you're able to share with them new concepts, they're willing to believe that there's other new concepts that you don't know that they want to know. So they're more likely to believe that you have more in store for them, and they want to have access for more of that. So they want your mentorship and your guidance. But so it's sharing things in a way that, one, elicit an emotional response, that evoke one of these buying emotions, that evokes hope, that evokes exclusivity, joy, special, like these types of emotions. And when you're able to share your personal experiences, when you could tie in personal past, and here's a cool thing, any story can be used, tied into any buying belief to sell any product. Once I learned that, I'm like, oh, it's game over. This is so powerful. And you know, in Skills Unlimited AI, in our AI studio, we actually have a story selling sandwich maker, and this is an AI agent that's specifically designed to help you to tie in literally any store. You could be walking in the store, getting groceries, and you're walking into your kitchen, and you drop your milk carton and it splashes on the ground. Some mundane, daily, boring story like that, and turn it into a highly persuasive, highly personal story that creates buying beliefs and buying emotions. Like, it is so effective, and there's no story that you could give it that it can't spit into a very calculated, intentional, persuasive parable that you're able to share. So understanding this is one of the best ways to create novelty, is share experiences that you've had, because nobody else in the marketplace ever experienced exactly what you have, or came to the same conclusion that you have. So how many of you want your ideal clients to remember your message? Type remember in the chat. If you can see that that by remembering your message, they're more likely to apply your message and live your message and take action on your message. One of the reasons why people don't give trainings that transform is because their trainings are forgettable. They forget what you said. And if you can have more novelty with personal stories, and it's not the principles. Remember, it's not the person, it's not the principles that creates clients for life. It's your personality. It's your perceived relationship with you. When you're having new stories, you're coming up with more just different insights from your past, your current, what you're doing now, to the future where you're going. This is where people connect with you and your personality before they buy your products. And it's so powerful what happens. So that's the N in emotions. The last one is the S. The S, this is so key, because the longer they wait, the less they buy, and here's how to fix it. This S is what allows people to take action today, and that is scarcity and urgency. These are emotions that a lot of people don't consider, and part of the reason why is because a lot of health educators don't actually understand these three core functions of business, and that is marketing, selling, and closing. There's a big difference between These three. Many people mistakenly believe that they're the same, and it's costing them a fortune. And until you understand how to distinguish these and actually how to apply them, it's going to be harder to sell. So let me explain it to you. Marketing, in my book on high ticket health coaching, I define marketing as marketing is bringing your message to the masses. Marketing is what allows people to know that you even exist. That's where they come in contact with you. And when your marketing is good, then selling becomes a lot easier. So when we're talking about lighthouse content, that's marketing. When we're talking about speaking on other people's platforms, that's marketing. But selling is telling stories in a way that transfers beliefs, that instills buying beliefs, that creates buying emotions. Selling helps them to influence their decision to buy so that they want to buy. So if your marketing is good, selling becomes so much more effortlessly. And people who get really good at marketing have way less harder time selling. Now, but just because someone's sold, they're like, yeah, I want to go through your flesh. I want to go through your kidney, gallstone, liver stone flesh. I'm totally sold. This works. This is great. But that doesn't mean that they're going to make the transaction. They might say like, yeah, I believe you are the person to guide me. I believe your process works really well. I believe that my problem is big and you can help me. But that's where closing comes in. If they might be sold, but they're not closed until you get the transaction, until they've actually made the purchase. So closing is giving people a reason to act now. A lot of times they get on consultation calls and what do we hear? I need to think about it. I need to talk to my spouse. I need to pray about it. If they're going through any of these things, they're not closed. They might even be sold, but they're not closed, and it won't lead to actual sales. So all three, marketing, selling, and closing, all of them are essential and important. Otherwise, you don't get paid, but there's a difference. So how do you close people? There's three types of closes. There's emotional closes, there's logical closes, and then there's fear closes. And they really go in that order. So most people, like 80% of your buyers are going to buy from the emotions, the stories you tell, your origin story. I mean, there's a large portion of people who would be ready to buy right towards the beginning. Those are the emotional buyers. And then there's some like logical buyers that they have more logical reasons or questions why they want to join. So you give them logical closes. You show them like the cost of an action, the cost of that they're already paying, or you share with them how it doesn't cost more money. You're just redirecting the money you're already spending on food that's not serving you, and you're redirecting it into food that's going to serve you, that's going to support you. So you're giving them logical reasons why it makes sense to buy. And then the fear close is like giving them a reason to act now. Like have you ever heard of FOMO? How many people ever heard of FOMO? It stands for fear of missing out, right? And so I used to wonder, I'm like, is fear something that's really good to appeal to or use in marketing? Is that manipulation? Is that not good? But then I read Jude 1:23, and the scripture says, and others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garment spotted by the flesh. So I wouldn't say that fear is like the best primary motivator to always lead with, but sometimes fear, it says others save with fear. So I mean, the Bible mentions it, so I'm like, okay, I don't have a problem with that then. So some ways that you could use examples of scarcity and urgency is, number one, if you have like event-only discounts, like, look, at this event, we're going to offer this price. You will not get it anywhere else, and it has to be true. Or it's like you could buy the book at, like usually on Amazon, my books are $25, but if you buy it at an event, it's $20 today. It can be yours. Maybe if you give limited bonuses, like you're going to get an exclusive training that isn't available other places. So when you buy today or accept this offer during this time frame, then you're going to get this bonus. And if you buy it after this time frame, this juicy, irresistible, exciting bonus goes away. And another one, it might be an interview, it might be a course you've done or a coaching call that was just fire, that was so powerful, and you're going to give them access, but they don't get it forever. So the third is like facts action bonuses. So giving people a reason to sign up, a reason to act now when during this time frame, those can be helpful. And then, or actually, so a limited bonus is like you only have a certain amount, like limited number. So like for the first 5 people, the first 10 people, which is similar to like one-on-one calls where if you can link it to something that is genuinely, truly only connected to something that really is limited, Maybe like one-on-one, like that takes time. Like I wouldn't want to do that for every person. Sometimes I'll say like for the first 5 people, I'll get on a call and we'll map out your business. We'll do this together. Usually I charge $3,000 an hour for my consulting fees, but I'm willing to waive my consultation fee for the first 5 people who purchase this, and we'll dive deep into your business and what we can do. So there's like some sort of like, you, instead of just giving them out so freely, you can tie it in with a bonus for those who take action. So these are examples of urgency and scarcity, but keep in mind that false scarcity kills trust. Sure, you might get a few extra sales, but in the long run, it is not worth it to lie about something scarce that is not scarce. So it's tempting, but don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not going to be worth it, and it will ruin your reputation. And if you want a business that outlasts, then you have to start a brand based on integrity and honesty, and people will see that and they'll care about it, and that will actually build more buyers, more referrals when you are doing ethical, honest things. So how many of you are ready to turn "I'll think about it" into "I am all in"? Type "I'm in" in the chat. So the 8 buying emotions that we're talking about for heart-centered selling is when you have exclusivity, when you have motivation, when you tap into a sense of ownership, when they feel trust, when they feel included, inclusivity, when they're feeling optimistic about their future, when they feel like something is new, this novel ideas, and they have scarcity and urgency. If you inject these things into your content, this is going to make such a big difference. And honestly, you could even take the transcript of this video, pop it into AI, and say, this is what I sell, this is who I help, and I want you to help me to tie in these 8 buying emotions into what I teach about, and you will get some amazing suggestions too. But if you like this and you want to go deeper, then I actually help health educators understand their marketing, craft signature speeches, get very clear on these types of things and more in my High Income Health Expert Challenge. Once a month, I go live and I teach for 5 days on these powerful strategies for you to build your business. Whether you're starting or you're scaling your business, you want to monetize and get to the next level, you're welcome to join. It's free to attend, and we have a VIP ticket, of course, and practice what I preach. If you want direct access to ask questions, to get your specific business ideas fleshed out, or you want knowledge in that area, usually my clients pay me $10,000 to work with me, but in here you can get VIP access for just $49, and you get 5 coaching sessions where we could dive deep into your business. I just go to highincomehealthexpert.com, or you can comment the word speech down below, and I'll send you a link of how you can get access to the training. Sometimes you can check the description and there'll probably be a link there too. But this is what we've been talking about, is 8 heart-centered sales secrets that attract health clients. If you've liked this, then subscribe, because I release new videos like this every week. And there's so much more that we can do for you. And I look forward to serving you guys. And remember, friends, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Have a great day, and God bless.